Give me my sound. There we go. Super creepy, but I love that song anyway. Let's see what we got. Oh, Abigail's helping today. All right. You guys ready for some heat? All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. All right. Hi. Oops, somebody's still playing. Come on up, boys. Let's go. I can hear middle school boys playing carpet ball. I knew it was middle school boys. All right. Announcements. Lunch and a movie. So you guys have lunch and a movie, middle school girls. That is coming up, August 7th, so 2 weeks from now, right after the third service. Pizza's provided. It is Rescued by Ruby is the name of the movie. So Rescued by Ruby, I've never seen it. So is it good? It's decent? All right. So food provided. Bring a snack to share. Snack to share. All right, you got this one.
6th grade guys, pizza and drinks. Sunday, July 31st, 12:45 to 3 at the Otterbein Church Community Center.
So 6th grade boys, you guys are doing your end of the year, I guess, party. There's going to be games, probably shenanigans happening. Okay, sounds good to me. Community Center, if that, we've got reserved, right? Okay, I was just making sure the times. If not, I've got a kickball field, so we can do that, whatever. We can punt. Last week of this, you've come to every single one of these. So for you guys that don't know, Wednesday night we have Crew. It is students get together, we dig into the Bible a little deeper. We spent the whole semester looking at the stories of the Bible that are super gory and graphic and like, it's in the Bible. We saw some pretty good ones. So the students said, hey, we should continue this. So this Wednesday, we're going to decide what we're going to do for next semester. We take the month of August off, gives our leaders a little bit of break as we get ready for the new year. Question? Maybe. We'll see. Mr. Nathan got a puppy, so maybe he'll bring it. I don't know, Wednesday. I don't know. If that entices you to come and not the Bible, I don't know. Are you bringing a puppy on Wednesday? They're saying there's a puppy coming Wednesday. There you go. All right. So, if that entices people to come hang out with Jesus, I'm okay with it. Jesus should entice you to hang out with Jesus. But, all right, so this is our last one until next semester. But they said, hey, we should keep doing that. So this upcoming sermon series, right now, today, we're going to actually do one of those. So we're going to do a fun story, the stories they don't tell you in kids' ministry. Or at least the rest of the story they don't tell you in kids' ministry. So, and that's it with the announcements, right? All right, so Abigail, you're going to lead this one.
If you had the money to treat yourself, which item would Dwight choose?
So, let's see if you guys are as crazy and weird as me. Guess which item I would choose if you had unlimited money to choose this. I've got bags over here. Let's see what good thing I can dig out of the bag today. I've got candy and beef jerky. Candy and beef jerky. Or maybe not. It won't come out of the bag. Not coffee. You can't have coffee. I don't know why it's sticking to the bottom. I'll get it for you at the end. I don't want to waste time. All right, so you have to decide which one I would choose if I were rich and I had the chance to buy this, which I'm not, so I can dream. Anybody else do that? Like you dream like at night, you're like, oh, the $790 million lottery or whatever is coming up. I'm like, what would I do with that? You ever do that? No? Okay, some of you guys have. You're weird as me. All right, so here we go.
A $1,000 cupcake or a $2,000 hot dog?
All right, so which one do you think I would take? So cupcake, so pick the side of the stage in which you think I would choose. Would I choose the cupcake or the hot dog? That is an actual $2,000 hot dog. It's got like gold leaf on it and like rare aged cheese on it. And no, it's not what you like. I heard over there, I don't like expensive cup. It's not what you like. It's what I like. How well do you know your youth pastor? 3, 2, and I even pre-wrote them down. So Abigail, you've got the list. All right, so this is pre-written down. So you have the answer. Don't let them see it. They're peeking over there. All right, 3, 2, 1. Which one would I have chosen?
It's the hot dog.
I would have chosen the hot dog. Because why spend $1,000 on food when he can spend $2,000 on food, right? And it's a giant hot dog. I feel like that would be a bad day afterwards if you have metal going through your system. I don't know. We'll see. It's gold leaf. That's metal. They literally put gold relief on it as you eat it. I'm like, that's just a terrible idea. Real gold. All right, so next one.
A diamond dog collar or a diamond computer mouse?
Which one would I purchase if I had the money to so purchase it? Would I buy the dog collar for my dogs, or would I buy the computer? I have 2 dogs. But do I love them enough to buy them a diamond dog collar? That's the question. I'm a very practical man, too. I like practicality. I like to know where my money is. I did just buy a $2,000 hot dog, yes. 3, 2, 1, which one did I choose?
It's the mouse.
I would choose the computer mouse because my dogs go up the hill and roll in cow poop. So I'm pretty sure I would never get those back on our property. So it's the only reason. At least the mouse, I know where it's at. And if my kids play with it, they can communicate where they just lost a really expensive mouse. My dogs, I would never get it back. In fact, Greta would probably eat it. Like she would. Anyway.
A backpack made of gold or a shirt made of gold?
Which one would I choose? I like how they're debating over here. Look at his shirt. That looks like he got it from Goodwill. I like the debate that's going on. You say the shirt would not. No, he's paying attention over there. All right, 3, 2, 1.
It's the backpack.
It's the back. I've got chest hair, and I feel like that gold shirt interweaving will just be super uncomfortable. So yeah, that's why I chose the backpack. So there you go.
A super yacht or a private island?
All right, I have announced multiple times what would happen if one of y'all got rich. What would I want if one of y'all got rich? Shh, you're out of it. You're a loser. You can't be in it. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. All right, do I buy the super yacht or do I buy the beach house? 3, 2, 1.
It's the island.
I would buy a beach house because every time I said, listen, if you guys get rich, all I want from you guys, so we could do Bible study at your beach house for a week. I would love to do that with you. I'd be your private pastor for a week. I could, sing Kumbaya a couple times. It'd be great. All right.
Gold toilet paper or a diamond bathtub for dogs?
If you could, you're staying there? You guys are staying there? Oh, she's going to go for the win? So the question is what would you choose? See, I like to know where my money's at, and I don't think my dogs can take it up in the yard. So I chose
the bathtub.
The bathtub, because who wants to flush straight gold? I guess if you have that kind of money, you win $790 million, you'd be like, you know what? I feel like that's uncomfortable, though. That would just be, I'm a 2-ply Charmin guy. All right. You win. I'll get you your prize after I unstick it from the bag for whatever reason it's stuck there. So you're the winner, okay? All right, so what would I have chosen? Beach house. You don't even have to ask. All right, here's a good one. What would you choose? What did I choose?
The hovercraft.
Absolutely. I would golf in that hovercraft. Look at that. So do you have to follow cart path rules if you got a hovercraft? I don't think so. You don't tear up the grass. True. And if my ball goes in the water, I just go zzz. It'd be perfect. Absolutely golden Legos. It was. You don't even have to answer. It's golden Legos. It'd be fun to build them. What do you think? All right. I don't like things in my eyes, even contact. Like that just sounds. I would wear glasses for the rest of my life before I had to like stab myself. Anybody have contacts? Are they okay? Like I feel like that's just terrible. No? Do you get used to it? Luckily, I'm old, but I haven't lost that. And I'm going to say that next week. I'm going to go blind, unfortunately. So yes, I would have taken the diamond headphones, given them to my wife. She would have loved me, and I would have been the dad of the year. All right, so I think this is the last one. Carbon fiber toilet seat. A bulletproof toilet seat. No, that's not Kevlar's the bulletproof stuff, right? I don't want, like, every time I hand out, I'm sure my small group leaders, like, I would appreciate if you would start stapling our papers with gold, I would save every one of those resources in my safe, or at least the corner. No, I would definitely take the toilet seat. So I would have taken the toilet seat. So, or I wouldn't ever use the stapler. I'd be like, there's my gold-filled stapler. So, all right. Wishful thinking, praise and worship team, come on up. I'll get you your prize afterwards once I unstuck it. It's a word, unstuck it.
Together. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? 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 Oh, was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was not true until I met you. And I was breathing but not alive. And all my failures I tried to hide, and it was not true until I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, and out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, and out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, and out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I need a rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I need a shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. All right, guys, let's pray. God, we just thank you for who you are and just how awesome you are. That we have the freedom to come to your feet and just worship with open arms, to receive all that you have for us, and that we can just have fun in your name, God. Just be with us today, and just let us hear from your word through Dwight. Give us a good week ahead. In your name, amen.
Amen. Yeah, man. That was hype. That was lit. That was lit. Is there a new one? I don't know. I haven't learned the new one. Wait, what? You have one kid and you turn 40? Is that what happens? All right. So, good morning, everybody. How are you? So we finished the sermon series, and I've been, as I said earlier, trying to think about what do we do next? Where do we go? School's coming. Trying to get ready for that. Small group leaders are getting ready to move up with you or change spots, or new ones are coming in. We got a lot of new coming. And so I wanted to do something where we dug into the Bible. We haven't done one of those series where we took a story of the Bible and we tear it apart and we look for what it is when we read the Bible, what we should be looking for, how God should really speak into your life, how to tear it apart. You might not use everything in the story and where you're at in your life, but you should have it in the back of your mind so that when you do. See, the ultimate thing about what happens with our faith and with humanity in general is eventually you will use it. Sin is sin is sin. Life is life is life. My hope is you guys all grow up, get married, have kids. If that's what you guys choose to do, you have great jobs, you have great careers, you have grandkids, you get old, you buy the house that you want, you find the love of your life, and you guys die old and happy. Like, that would be really, I think a cool life. Maybe that's not for everybody, but things in life happen over generation, over generation, over generation, and a lot of things happen the same. And so I think the cool part about the Bible is if you open it up and you seriously understand, we talked that series about wisdom and knowledge and foolishness. If you open up the Bible, we are supposed to take the knowledge we learn from the Bible and apply it to our life, wisely or foolishly. And so I thought, we had a great series with our Wednesday night crew. And so I thought, let's do a Bible story. Let's tear apart a Bible story. And so I couldn't find the book. So being an author that I am, I've written a book or two, or I wrote another book. I didn't write this book, but I actually did my own editing and my own artwork for this book. It's called The Book of Samson. So we're gonna go into grown-up children's stories, Samson Part 1. And so I'm gonna do a little bit of reading, story time. We're going to read. So Samson, he's got the big muscles there. This is why I pay people to do my book covers, because it's so awesome, right? He's got quads, and he works out. So if a stick figure had muscles, right? So he's super strong. And it kind of looks like me in high school, just all bone, and just subtract the muscles. So, and I couldn't find a Samson book, so I may have taken Jonah and the whale and just put that on top. So there you go. Story time. Because ultimately there's this one verse that I read over this week, and I'm like, that makes so much sense. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man or a woman, I gave up childish ways. Ultimately, you guys are growing up. You guys are figuring out life. You're figuring out who you are, and you need to hear the Bible stories for the way they are. I don't tell all of Samson to my kids when I read the story. Why? Because they don't understand, and I don't want to give them nightmares. Ultimately, we tell it in a way that we can tell it, in a way that they can understand it. But you guys are old enough to understand these stories for truly what they are. And so let's tear open the Bible and let's figure out, because ultimately we're going to get into the book of Judges. And what ended up happening is, and we've talked about this several times, if you read any part of the Bible, usually somebody followed God. They made a decision. I'm going to follow Jesus. I'm going to be a follower of the Lord. Old Testament, Israel. We're going to follow God. We'll do everything you say. I'm sorry we were dumb before, but we'll do. Anybody ever make a compromise with God? If you do this, I promise, if you do this, if you give me the girl of my dreams, or if you give me that job, or help me get an A in this class, if you do this, I'll do this. You ever negotiate with God? I think we all have. We've negotiated with God. I probably have negotiated a little bit. If I buy a ticket, God, and you give me $790 million, I'll still be a youth pastor, I promise. We all negotiate with God because we have wants. And so they said, we'll follow you, God. And then they did evil, and they did the things that they weren't supposed to do, even though they knew they weren't supposed to do, and they'd messed up before. We all do that. And then they faced consequences of their disobedience. God said, if you don't straighten up, this is going to happen. And so we've talked about that a ton of times. They cried out to the Lord. They sent a judge, and the judge was like, we'll fix this. We'll save the people. And then they lived in peace until they screwed it up again. And so do we. So let's read a little bit of Judges. Judges ends, story time. Judges ends with this great phrase that says, everybody did what was right in their own eyes. Can you imagine if everything was legal as long as you thought it was right? What would you do first? Don't say it out loud because I don't want to know. Some of you I might, but most of you I probably would be bad. Anyway, what would you do if you could do whatever you want, if everybody could make up their own rules? So this is the time in which they were living. Israel decided they didn't want God as their king, and so without having God as their king, they did what they thought was right. And so here is God trying to save them from their own stupidity. So we're going to get into Judges 13, 1 through 5. I'll do my best reading voice. And the people of Israel again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord gave them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. They were now slaves after a war, and that was bad. There was a certain man of Zorah of the tribe of the Danites whose name was Manoah. And his wife was barren and had no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, behold, you are barren and have not borne a child. I'm sure she was like, thanks, I'm well aware of it. But you shall conceive and bear a son. Therefore be careful and don't drink wine or strong drink and eat nothing unclean. For behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor shall come upon his head, and the child shall be a Nazarite from God. To God from the womb, and he shall begin to save Israel from the hands of the Philistine. So going back to the main, you have to understand a Nazarite meant in the New Testament would be John the Baptist. He couldn't cut his hair, grow a long beard. He couldn't let unclean things like the clothing, stuff like that. So we understand in here like John the Baptist. I kind of imagine him as. You ever see like a Harley Davidson ride, or like the real gruff ones with the leather and the big hat? John rides a Harley too, but he doesn't have the full beard yet. He's working on it. So I'm talking about the big biker guys, big beard, like, leather everywhere. I imagine him as that big gruff guy, but he was born and they said, listen, he has to not touch anything unclean. He has to follow God. He's going to be a judge. He's telling them all these great things about the son. Could you imagine if God came to you and be like, your son's going to be awesome. And you're like, woo, it's going to be great to be a parent. I can't wait. Let's keep reading. Then the woman came and told her husband, a man of God came to me, and his appearance was like the appearance of an angel of God. Very awesome. I did not ask him where he was from, and he didn't tell me his name. Could you imagine like your wife came to you guys, like guys out there, you're like, hey, listen to this great story. I went to Target. Just making it sounds like a made-up story, right? I didn't ask his name. He just told me really cool things. Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. So then drink no wine or strong drink, eat nothing unclean, for a child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, the day of his death. Then Manoah prayed to the Lord and said, O Lord, please let the man of God whom you sent come again to us and teach us what we are to do with the child who will be born. And God listened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel came and again to the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. So the woman quickly ran and told her husband, behold, the man came to me the other day, has appeared to me. And Manoah arose and went after his wife and came to the man and said, are you the man who spoke to this woman? I am. And Manoah said, now when your words come true, what is this child's manner of life, and what is his mission? And the angel of the Lord said, of all that I have said to the woman, let her be careful. She may not eat and drink that comes from the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink or eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, please let us detain you and prepare you a goat. And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, if you detain me, I will not eat of your food. But if you prepare the burnt offering, then offer it to the Lord. For Manoah did not know he was the angel of the Lord. Like, it's a total dad move in that situation where he's like, hey, listen, stay for a barbecue, right? Like, I don't know if your dads are like, hey, we'll cook something. Or maybe even moms. You're like, hey, you sound really cool, and that's a good promise. I'll cook for you. But anyway, Oh, did I not give you that second page? I'm sorry, you guys couldn't read along. Oh, it's a read along, and I didn't let you read along. Tell me if I messed that up again, okay? Yes? Okay. So this is important. So now both parents believe him. Dad first didn't believe his wife, so he double checked. Dear God, please double check my wife. She tells stories. I don't know if that was the situation, but he double checked, and then he threw a barbecue. And so it goes on and says, and the woman bore a son and called his name Samson. And the young man grew, and the Lord blessed him. So everything's going right. Everything is cool right now. Yes, story in the Bible. And then it all falls apart. Here comes the good part. In the book, this is called one of those climactic points where they screw up. It's like when, in Finding Nemo, when Marlin yells at Dory and then gets mad and everybody's sad. Why did he yell at Dory? She was just trying to help. And then she gets hurt in the jellyfish field. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so everyone knows Samson was a really strong guy. Everybody knows that part. But did you know these messed up parts? Here's the good stuff. Here's where he messed up. Next part. Samson went down to Timnah, and at Timnah he saw one of the daughters of the Philistines. First and foremost, they did not get along. The Philistines and Israel did not get along. It was really not good for them to be friends. They disagreed on everything moral, but Samson went on and said, then he came up and told his father and mother, I saw one of the daughters of the Philistines at Timnah. Now, get her for me as a wife. Now, how many of you have gone up to your parents and I need a PlayStation 5 now, and nails, and, have you ever done that and gotten what you wanted? Anybody? Anybody? You've done that and you've gotten what you wanted? Little things maybe, but did you go, hey, he's really cute, go get me his husband? Probably not going to go over too well. But back then, he could. Back then, he could. I want to make sure that's clear. They came up to the father, now I saw a daughter of the Philistines at Timnah. Now go get her for me as a wife. But his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your relatives or among other people that you must go and take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines? But Samson said to his father, get her for me, for she is right in my eyes. How often do we do what we want to do? Mom, Dad, I think you're smart and everything. Probably not. But listen, I know what I want for me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do this thing. I want this. How often do we do that? So Samson's no different than any other young person, and probably even old people. But man, he's pretty demanding all of a sudden. He's like, go get her for me. This is what I want. She's right in my eyes. He doesn't take input very well. She is right for me. Sorry, we'll go on. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I read it all. All right, she's right in my own eyes. Then Samson went down with his father and mother to Timnah, and they came to the vineyard. So he convinced his parents to go at least check out this person. Vineyards, and behold, a young lion came towards him roaring. Then the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and although he had nothing in his hands, he tore the lion in pieces as one tears a young goat. I'm not exactly sure. Has anybody torn a goat before? Any of you guys? Do you guys go out in the field and be like, you know what? This one's mine. There's more to that. I'll tell you more of the story next week. To be continued. But there's a reason why that is talked. But he just tore a lion up. No big deal. This is my lion, and he did. Bye, kitty. But he did not tell his father and mother what he had done. So remember, he's supposed to be really good. He's not supposed to kill things. He's supposed to not touch wine and drink. He's not supposed to touch unclean things. He's got to keep his hair long. So he's got to be pretty pristine, yet careful what he does. But instead, he rips a lion apart, because that's what I do on weekends. I mean, when my Niners are playing the Lions, they take care of business. But what I'm just saying is, it's coming. Football season's coming. When my Buckeyes are playing the Lions, too, they take care of business. I went there, too. I'm sorry. I had to. So the tearing of the lion, where's that at? So he tore the lion in pieces as one tears a young goat. But he did not tell his father and his mother what he had done. Then he went down and talked with the woman, and she was right in Samson's eyes. So he has a crush on this girl, and he doesn't listen to anything his parents say. She doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe in anything. Her morals are that of the Philistines, which was real bad, Clark, real bad. But he's like, no, she's hot. That's why I want her. And so we do it all the time. Like people, you guys like make decisions on who you want to date or stuff, not based, oh, but they're so funny. God is your priority first. Remember we talked about that? And then the rest of the things can fall into place. Hot's okay. I think my wife's hot. You don't have to. Why? Because you'll find your own hot person. So let's keep going. So he's fallen apart. He's already killed something. He's ripped him apart. He's not supposed to do those. But then he goes on. After someday, he returned to take her. So he went to marry her. That's how you do. There was like a goods trade, and then that's my woman. You have your animal. And he got himself a woman. After some days, he returned to take her and turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees in the body of the lion and honey. He scraped it out into his hands and went on eating it as well. I don't know if you've ever seen roadkill before. Like, it swells up. He's like, you know what? Some honey. That's great. And so he grabs himself some honey from the dead lion that he ripped apart earlier. And then he came to his father and mother and gave it to them, and they ate. Yeah, Mom and Dad, here, have some of this. But he did not tell them that he had scraped the honey from the carcass. Now, I am skipping a lot of this story. Like, I'm not just going, like, there's a good chunk of this story that, there's sections in there. Go read it for yourself. If you guys think this is a cool story, or you're like, no way, that's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Our messes ups, like, Samson's life is on display here. We have our secret mess ups that we have in our life that we don't want to talk about and things like that. What we're doing with this story is showing you that Samson was a pretty big mess up, but God still used him. God still loved him. And so it continues on. So not only did he touch something unclean, he ate it too. I don't know if you've ever, he basically ate honey out of roadkill, and then gave it to his parents and then didn't tell them. Boy, what a spit in the face. Mom, Dad, I love you. Try some of this. Great parenting, right? Or great sonning. And then Samson decided, you know what? I got this new wife. I got this good life. I'm doing all. So he does something he's not supposed to again. He made a bet. And not only did he make a bet, he made a bet that he couldn't keep. If he loses, he can't keep this bet. So here it is. His father went down to the woman, Samson. Hold on, there you go. I'll make sure I'm on the same one. His father went down to the woman Samson and prepared a feast for them. Is that where we're at? Okay, good. For so the young man used to do. And so the people saw him, and they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said to them, let me now put a riddle to you. I like riddles, so this is a good guy for me. If you can tell me what it is within 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes. But if you cannot tell me what it is, then you shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes. And they said to him, again, Philistines' garments weren't always made from clean things, but he wanted them and couldn't get them from the Israelites because they couldn't touch them. But he would get them from the Philistines and get what he wanted to get. So again, Samson is doing what he wants to do and not what God wants him to do. But if you cannot tell me what it is, then you should give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes. And they said to him, put your riddle that you may hear it. And he said to them, out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. And 3 days they could not solve his riddle. What was he talking about? We know the story. The honey out of the dead lion. So they had to find the answer to the riddle. They had to go find the dead lion to figure it out. So he was basically putting a riddle that if they figured it out, they would also be telling his parents and his family and everybody around him that he did something that he shouldn't. So he's like, I'm so confident, not only going to get your clothes, but they're also not going. So basically he was boastful again. Samson is really screwing things up really quickly. So let's go on. So he bet 30 guys for 30 clothes that he's not supposed to be wearing anyway. On the fourth day, they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband to tell us what the riddle is, lest we burn you and your father's house with fire. I'm not sure what else they'd burn it with, but have you have you invited us here to impoverish us? And Samson's wife wept over him and said, you only hate me. You do not love me. You put a riddle to my people, and you have not told me what it is. And he said to her, behold, I have not told my father nor my mother, and shall I tell you? She wept before him for before him for 7 days that their feast lasted. And 7 days he told, on 7 days he told her because she pressed him hard. Then she told the riddle to her people. So first of all, that's annoying. If somebody, you ever hang around somebody that just cries and moans for 7 days, good night. I'd be like, go to your room and hang out somewhere. And so she wept and nagged and cried over him for 7 days. And finally he told her because he's like, get off my back. The problem is she's a Philistine. Her loyalty, she didn't want to be with him. She wanted to be with her people, but because of the laws of marriage back then, she had to. But she ended up telling her people. And then the men of this, let me make sure you guys have this. This is the last section to our story of this week. And the men of the city said to him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? And he said to them, if you had not plowed with my heifer. So basically he just called his wife a really bad name. If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have found out my riddle. He called his wife a heifer, which means really fat cow. So now he's trashing his wife. These are the stories they don't tell you in kids' ministry. So you would not have found out my riddle. And the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and struck down 30 men of the town and took their spoil and gave the garments to those he had told the riddle. So he went and murdered 30 people for their clothes so that he could fulfill his promise of the riddle. In hot anger, he went back to his father's house, and Samson's wife was given to his companion, his best man. So basically, he's like, I've had my wife for 7 days. All she did was cried, complained, whined, and then he goes, yeah, my best man can have her. And he gave her away. Samson's a real nice guy, huh? We'll end here. We'll just do this. Stay tuned next week for part 2. You can read ahead. It's called the Bible. It's in Judges. It's in one of those books of Judges. I don't normally take questions, but I'm curious now. Okay, we'll read it again and be ready for next week. He's already read the story. So the reason why I want to read you these stories is, a lot of people are like, God doesn't know what I've done. God doesn't know where I'm broken. God doesn't know what's been done to me. God doesn't know the hurt of my life. God can't accept me. He can't accept the person that I am. We have a lot of people in this room that I know of that think that very same thing. And there's some of you who don't. But I promise you, you're going to be put in situations where you're going to make a bad choice. We all do, unfortunately. This is not to encourage you to make bad choice, going, oh, God will use me even if I make this one dumb decision. It's not what I'm telling you. But what I am telling you is God can redeem anything. He chose Samson for a purpose. Next week, we're going to talk about God's portion of the purpose. You guys now know this week the story of his fall, where he screwed up, how bad he really was, and know that the to be continued is, okay, now what does God do with him? What does God do for his glory, his purpose through Samson? There is going to be consequences for what Samson does. So that's the other part of me not telling you to go out and do these things. Why? Because there are consequences and they will hurt. They will be harsh. They will be difficult. They will not go well if you think that you can do something that is not designed. God did not create you to do. If you choose to do what judges say, do what is right in your own eyes, God does punish. God does hold accountable. And so Samson is going to be used in a way that gives God glory. But Samson's going to go through some really, really harsh struggles next week as we learn about the rest of the story. And so when we get into small groups, I want to start talking. You don't have to pour out, these are all my sins. That's not what we're asking you to do in small group. Don't pour those out. We'll talk about those separate, a little private if you want to talk to your small group leaders. But it is to say we understand that not everybody has done everything perfectly. Samson did a lot messed up, and he was just a young man. It wasn't like he was an old guy that screwed up. He was probably right around your senior hires age. He did a lot of stupid things, but in it, God used it. He lived through consequences, and my hope is you guys will see that Samson did what was right eventually in God's eyes, and for that, God changed his heart and also saved Israel. So with that, let's pray, get in the small groups, talk about it a little bit, and we'll continue the story next week. Heavenly Father, I always like talking about these fun stories in the Bible. I like seeing students go, no way. It's in the Bible because we mess up. Sin is real. Sin is prevalent both in the Old Testament and today. And so I want these students to go as they talk about the mess ups of this life. I want them to know that they can change their trajectory, and that you can help them do that because you truly are a God that uses everything that we do for your glory. And so, God, help us to live a life that honors you so that we can use it and live in your glory and not